What is up, everybody? Today we are fresh into the news of a possibly electric version of the Ranger. Now, we, of course, have been covering the Lightning vividly, but this one has me excited. It could still, of course, be a ways out, and I know what you're thinking. Ford has kind of already hinted at, an electrification of all their popular vehicles. So it should be no surprise to anyone. However, based off this recent interview, it could be a little bit sooner than we expected. Now, here's what we're going to kind of look at today is like what we can kind of speculate based off this interview, how it was leaked, how we figured this all out. And then I want to also look at other popular Ford platforms and what's the next logical step, because although we did get this recent leak that we could be getting a Ranger, is that actually the smartest move for Ford? So let's take a look at that together. I am doing a new thing where I do ask you guys to subscribe. I've decided that I do want that. Mostly because, as I mentioned in my last video, I saw that literally 80% of my viewers are unsubscribed. And maybe there's a reason for that. So if you don't want to, obviously don't do it. But if you do and you're considering it, it would be greatly appreciated. So a senior global Ford executive has recently hinted at the electric Ranger. And this comes right after and during the same kind of press junket, if you will, of the F-150 being released in Australia, which is also pretty cool news for Ford. That's going to be make this vehicle, even the already most popular vehicle they make, even more popular. So moving right along, the article I'm quoting is carsguide.com, where they interviewed Ali Jamal. And I'm very sorry if I'm butchering that name. However, his quote was that the Ranger, which is based off of the T6 platform, is a great candidate for the electrification. And whether it's going to be a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, or full electric, it certainly could be capable of electrification. And they can't say whether or not that's the plan. But again, they said it's capable. Then they go on to quote how the journey of the Lightning was taking the existing platform of the Ford F-150 and converting it into an electric version, where they think that is very possible to do with the Ranger as well. They continue to mention kind of what I was thinking is, does it make sense to keep converting these existing platforms into something electric, or create something fresh that is designed with electricity in mind? Now, the benefits of a smaller truck being electrified, well, it fights with the Rivian, and honestly, being able to fit because if you have a smaller truck that is kind of bridging the line of a work vehicle and more of a family consumer vehicle, that smaller size, it really helps them not have to have as big of batteries, which is, of course, a hurdle with the existing Lightning right now. So they can shrink the size, they can shrink the weight, they can produce more of it at a less of a cost. And moving a smaller vehicle like this, it could help increase the 0 to 60 time and some fun stuff too. And now this is especially interesting, and why I think it could happen sooner is because it does directly compete with the Rivian, like we mentioned. Now, it's hard to say what is drawing people to the Rivian. Now, I don't think it's necessarily the size. I think it's a lot of people excited about the tech behind it. Like, it's got the cool startup vibe, which a lot of people like. Their marketing is more like the adventurer who wants to go hiking and take their truck mountain biking. And honestly, I do fall a little bit more into the Rivian's marketing than the authentic truck guy that the Ford Lightning goes after. Even though I've steered more towards the Lightning, I get the appeal of a Rivian and the class that they're trying to capture, or the market share they're trying to capture. Now, what I think Ford could be doing is trying to just dominate it all with having a Rivian lookalike, if you will, or a direct competitor to Rivian. On that note, there was talks way earlier when we were getting this is the second time the electric Ranger has hit the rumor mill, if you will. And in fact, if you recall, there was a joint effort with Rivian at one point, and there were hints that they were going to take the Rivian skateboard design that it's built on and use that for Ford's Ranger. And now that seems to have gone out the window at this point, with Ford and Rivian kind of announcing separate ways, while Ford still does hold some a decent chunk of Rivian. They kind of abandoned plans to work together, if you recall that news a little back. Now, Ford has also worked with Volkswagen, who recently announced a truck too. So that still could be the joint project that we're talking about, because Volkswagen has also recently announced a truck that is going to be electric as well. So that's the third option, is not electrifying an actual the existing T6 platform and actually getting something new that is working with another company, which could be actually really cool to see. So if they're trying to fight directly with Rivian, I know fight's the wrong word because I just got done saying that they literally are technically partners in a lot of ways, but they're competing. So maybe it's important that they do put something on the market to, quote unquote, compete with Rivian. However, I don't know if I were Ford, if that would be the next direction I go in. There's parts of it that I like. So what I'm showing us now is the current Ford platforms. And if we go right here to the mid-size pickup. Now, this is not the technical name of the platform. Like I just said, I believe it's, well, according to an article I recently read, I don't know this off the top of my head, it's the T6.2 or whatever platform. But I like this, the mid-size pickup SUV platform. And what I like about this electrification is that the Ranger and the Bronco hold the same platform. So that'd be a really cool strategic next step for Ford. If that, where the Ranger comes in, that means the Bronco could be right around the corner, or vice versa. I know there's such a huge talk about people wanting an electric Bronco, me included. It would be really cool. Of course, this also, the Everest, is the Everest sold in the US? Oh, so there is going to be the Everest in the US. I did not know that. So yeah, that could be a great move because that gets them an SUV, the Bronco, which is already selling like crazy. So an electric one would obviously do very similar, I believe. And then the Ranger, which is another truck. Now, and it would work because I do think the Mustang Mach-E is so fairly priced. You can get one for, I think right around $40K, which is of course not cheap by any means, but it is a nice entry point. It kind of checks the box for both a car and a SUV because it is that mid-size, a little bit smaller than an SUV. But then you get something like the Everest, which will be more of a family size SUV. You get the Bronco, which could also technically check the box as a family SUV, and it's fun too, which is kind of, I don't know, I think that's a cool place to play it. Now, it'd be really cool for Ford to do this. However, if I had to actually put money on this, my guess is this C-Class compact area is probably what we'll see being actually created next, because just look at the vast variety of vehicles they can do. So just reading off some names that are in this C-Class compact frame, it's the Focus, which is an extremely popular car. The Escape, extremely popular. The Bronco Sport, which is just taken off like crazy. I don't know, maybe it's just where I live, but I swear every other house I see a Bronco Sport in it. It's mostly people who wanted a Bronco but couldn't wait, probably. I know I actually test drove one a while back because the same reason. And I was like, yeah, I'll just get a Bronco Sport. Why not? It's close enough. So it's not, though. You got to go Bronco. Anyway, so the Maverick, which is also in this same frame. So right there is a home run already. A Focus, an Escape, a Bronco, and a Maverick. If those could be the next to be electrified, that would be a hit. The Bronco Sport, sorry. That'd be the more realistic approach I could see them taking. But this also includes the C-Max, the Grand C-Max, Transit Connect, a China vehicle is the Escort, and then, of course, the Lincoln MKC. It just kind of makes sense to me that this would be, you can check more boxes without having to do a lot more engineering and groundwork. As much as I'd love to see the next kind of set of vehicles that they go after being the Ranger and Bronco kind of category, that would be great. I likely see that as maybe a third step. Now, there's also reason, if you consider foreign markets, something like this B-Class, the subcompact, the Fiesta, the EcoSport, and the Transit Courier, the B-Max, the Ka, I don't know what that is, but those are the very smaller vehicles, and those have more appeal overseas. And that's obviously part of Ford's plan overall, is not to just satisfy truck heads in America, but all around globally. So I could also see that as a financial strategy, like really wanting to tap into the foreign markets with these smaller vehicles. Although I think it could be done with this C class as well. They don't just have to do it with the B class. Now, I know a lot of you guys don't love these videos where it's mostly speculation, but these are some of my favorite ones to do because it's kind of exciting to just kind of guess at. And I think we can have a good conversation about it too. Like, I'm not claiming to be the expert on any of this. I consume way too much media surrounding this, so I do know a decent amount, but again, I'm not claiming that I have all the answers. So I'd love for us to keep this conversation going. I will be in the chat. And yes, I did get a new haircut. Thank you for asking. I gotta go. All right, bye guys.